Who am I? It's a question we ask ourselves throughout our lives. But two times, especially in our lives, we ask this question. That is when we are in high school, going to college, and then off into the world. We ask the question, who am I? We redefine ourselves in new circumstances. And we ask it again in retirement especially. Our self not defined by the job that we hold, we have to remember to define ourselves once again. Now there are many different ways we can go about trying to answer this question. One of the more popular ways right now is that we go online and we take a little test and it tells us who we are. Which Sex and the City character are you? Are you a Carrie? I don't actually know any other names of the characters in that show. I think there's a Mr. Big. Am I right? Which Golden Girl are you? Are you a Dorothy, a Blanche, a Sylvia? Which Walking Dead character are you? I'd be the dead one. Now, one test I did take recently, among all these different types of tests, was that I found out which Disney princess I am. I am Belle. Because I am a beautiful girl in this very provincial town. Sure. So, what it tells me, though, on that one is that you are Belle because you can see the very best in people, that all people have redeeming virtues, just like the beast. I like that idea. Hopefully I live up to being Belle. That'd be really nice. To see the very best in people, to see the qualities in people that maybe they don't even see for themselves. But I think the beast thought he was just this horrible being, cursed for all time. But not to be a wonderful being. This is not a new phenomenon either, by the way. Because back in the days before the internet, we also had other ways of figuring out who we are based on other things that aren't quite us. For instance, one might go to a local establishment who serves alcoholic beverages and go to someone who looks kind of attractive and walk up to them and go, "Excuse me, what's your sign?" And it worked every time, right? Now see, are our signs compatible? I'm a Pisces. I know that means I'm a fish. That's all I've got for you. Or you go to the Chinese horoscopes, right? Maybe our American ones and stuff aren't quite good enough for us. So we go by the year. I'm a boar. I must be very stubborn. That's all I know. All the different ways we have found throughout our lives to figure out, who am I? Let someone else define me for me, please. Because it can be hard to examine ourselves. Now, of course, the very best way to figure out who we are, to answer that question of who am I, is to go to the one who made us. The one who knit us in our mother's wombs. The one who formed us. The one who gives us our skills and our talents and our purpose. The one who says to us, "I have made you for wonderful things." It can be hard for us to hear at times, though. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've had this conversation with people and they go, "I don't have any gifts. I am nobody special. What can you actually expect from me? All I do is I get up in the morning, I go to work, I come home, I eat some dinner, turn on the TV, I go to sleep. There's nothing special about me." Really. Nothing at all. There's a conversation about, what is your job? What are your passions? What are your hobbies? What are the things that get you really, really excited? Let's explore that. Explore the calling you've been given to you. Explore the gifts that have been given to you in many different ways. Because all of us are different. All of us have different skills and talents and purposes. I stand before you today as the pastor, Not because I am on this giant pedestal, I'm the most holy being around, with angelic wings popping out of my back and a giant halo above my head. That'd be really cool, though. That's not why I'm here. I am here because I was called for a very particular purpose, with skills of leadership and preaching that continue to grow each day and each year. And for God said to me, come and do this. Do not make this job or this calling any better or worse than any other. But all of us do have a particular calling. Each of us has particular skills and gifts. But we take the time to see that. Or we try to stand around and go, I'm nobody special. But you are indeed special. Now in the reading today, it said that they were called to equip the saints for ministry. I have a question here for all of you. How many of you here are saints? You should all be raising your hands. It's not a trick question. God declares all to be saints. So we as the church are called to equip each other. We as the church are called to equip each of you to use the gifts you have been given. To see the gifts you have been given. To use them to the best abilities. Another conversation I have all too often is that I want to be more active in the church. I want to do things. I want to have a deep relationship with Jesus Christ, but I don't even know where to begin. How do I even start? What possibilities are there? Now that's a conversation that's very important to have. Whether it be with yourself as you sit down and look at all the different things that are out here and say, how can I help? But also, maybe it's just too much to consider. Or maybe, once again, you don't even know what your gifts are yet, so you don't know how you can possibly keep going. That's a conversation I would love to have with anyone willing to have it. And believe it or not, there are actually little surveys we can do that don't just tell us about what TV character we are, but it can also tell us what gifts we have. They can just shine a light on us and say, oh wow, that's actually a gift. I never knew that about myself. Or maybe then we see your gifts and say, hey, maybe the other things that we already have going on don't quite fit your gifts or your passions. Let's start something new. Because God is always calling us to new things. God's always calling us to see more and more opportunities and possibilities than we ever imagined before. God called for some of us to be evangelists, to go out in different ways to spread the good news. And that can be done 1,000 different ways. Friends, good news, this wonderful news, this best news possible, that we are loved. That we are special. That we are forgiven all and made new. Some of us called to be apostles, some called to be pastors, some called to be teachers, and some called to many other things. So the question is not, are you gifted? But the question is only, how has God gifted you, and how are you going to respond? Will you sit down and do nothing? Just sit and be comfortable? Or you take the challenge that God lays before you, the opportunities that God lays before you, and pick them up. Not afraid of failure, but instead embracing that God will be there to give us strength. God will be there to guide us. God will push us in the directions we need to go. My prayer for all of us is that we do embrace all of these opportunities and challenges and gifts and the purpose that God gives us. We find and we follow God's purpose for us we find joy that goes beyond all measure. We begin to see and experience the love of God even more fully. So if you want to have a conversation, come and talk with me. Give me a call. Send me an email. We'll find some time and sit down and talk and figure it out together. If you already know something, talk about that too. But understand that you are wonderful. God didn't make any mistakes, but God made you the way that you are so that God may use you to show love and grace to all. Amen.